3, 2, and 1.
Good day, class, and welcome again to our science lesson. For this week, we are now in quarter 4, week 6, module 6 with the topic of Biogeochemical cycle. So, for today's lesson, pag-uusapan natin ano nga bang ibig sabihin nito and paano ba ito nakakaapekto o nakakatulong sa ating buhay dito sa mundo. But before that, let's have an activity with the title of decoding. Okay, I will show you the things that you need to fix. Sasama-samahin nyo lang so that you can be able to find what is the right term na hinahanap natin. So we have P plus R plus O plus C plus E plus S plus S rather. P-R-O-C-S-S. So, all you need to do is to comment your answer. If you combine all the decoding code, all the codes, tapos sabihin nyo na, i-chat nyo na yung sagot. For this decoding number 1, the correct answer is process. So this process is very important in what we are going to do or to study this day. Let's proceed to the decoding number 2. We have the C-Y-C-L-E-S. C-Y-C-E-L-E-S. Comment your answer in 3, 2, and 1. The correct answer is cycles. Cycles, no? Next, we have the E-L-M. E-L-E-M-E-N-T-E-S. Comment your answer. E-L-E-M-N-T-E-S. And the correct answer is elements. So, sir, dati pa yan sa chemistry. So, ngayon, aaralin natin what is the relationship of the process, what do you mean the cycles and the elements in our today's lesson. So, again, welcome to our week 6, the title of Biogeochemical cycle. So, what are the expectations or the objectives that we need to attain in studying this lesson? Okay, number 1, you will gain deeper understanding of how materials cycle in an ecosystem. And aside from that, you will trace the flow of materials in the biogeochemical cycles of the ecosystem. So, number 1, alamin nyo kung paano ang materials kakatulong, material cycles in an ecosystem, paano nga ba pumapaikot o ano ang ganap ng mga materials na tinutukoy dito sa ating ecosystem, and you will be able to know the flow, no, of the materials in the ecosystem. So, what do you mean by biogeochemical cycle? Okay, the earth, no, sabi dito, possess the elements that are common in living and non-living organisms. So, there is something to do with living and non-living organism when we are talking about the biogeochemical cycle. These elements undergo recycling, no, every now and then through various processes that are essential part of living organism. So this cycle is what we call biogeochemical cycle. Or meaning, or simply, it is the flow of chemical elements and compounds between living organism and the physical environment. So relationship ito ng living and non-living organism, or just simply the living organisms and its environment. Let's go! So let us now know first the factors that will help us to understand the biogeochemical cycle. First is abiotic factors. The non-living parts of the cycle like sunlight, wind, water, soil, temperature, and various natural environmental conditions like rain, yung volcanic eruption, and storms, they are considered as abiotic factors. Okay? And on the other hand, when we say biotic factors, the living components of the environment. Ito naman yung may mga buhay, no? Such as plants, animals, and microorganisms. So when we say abiotic, this is the non-living factors. Biotic is the living factors. Of all the non-living components, water is very important. Why? Because it will help the living habitat of the ecosystem. Yung plants and also the animals ay nakadepend sa water for life. The water is very vital sa ating environment because it will help all living things. Tinatawag nating water cycle, no? Nagsisimula ang water cycle kapag yung sun na-heat niya yung oceans, in other bodies of water, mag-i-evaporate yun into the atmosphere. And then that is the first process ay tinatawag nating evaporation. Yung animal kasama yung human, naglulus ng water yon to the air pag nag-breathe ang human and pag nag-sweat. Siyempre yung animals naman, and I mean yung yun, by means of sweating, and yung tinatawag nating transpiration, which is the second process. Ano, pag kinagsama yung number 1 and number 2, proceed tayo sa number 2 as tinatawag nating evapotranspiration, whereas in the similar to evaporation, pero kasama na yung plants because of the water vapor from the tiny openings ng mga halaman called stomata. Kaya siya tinawag na evapotranspiration kasi combination siya ng evaporation and the transpiration of the animals. And then after that, after na mag-evaporation, lalamig yan, magsama-sama sila sa atmosphere. So the high altitude, the water vapor change into very tiny water droplets forming the clouds. Kaya nagkaroon na ng condensation. Tandaan natin na yung formation of clouds ay tinatawag nating condensation. At yung clouds na yan, okay, pag-proceed sa sublimation. Then ice directly converts into water vapors without converting into liquid. Water main source of the ice sheets of the North Pole and the South Pole and in the ice caps on the mountains. Ito naman yung nangyayari pag direct ang naging ice na yung vapor, no, na hindi na siya naging water. Pero ayan yung nangyayari doon sa mga land such as sa North Pole and sa South Pole. On the other hand, pag yung ulap na ito, yung wala tayo sa North Pole and South Pole, in a typical area lang, pag mabigat na yung dala-dala nitong ulap nito, eventually, babagsak na yan. It's sa Earth in different forms. No, yan ang tinatawag nating precipitation. So, the clouds condense water vapors then pour down in the different forms. No, bakit? Due to wind and the temperature change. No, in different forms na tinutukoy ko, pag temperature is very low, is low, rain yon. Rain ang mapaform. Pag temperature is very low, below 0 degrees, snow ang mapaform. On the other hand, pwede rin sleets or hail ang maform. Depende sa kung ano ang binibigyan na temperature. Did you get that, class? Siyempre, yung rain babagsak ulit sa land and yung iba sa water at dito bodies of water and then uulit na ulit yung water cycle. Pagtapos na mag-precipitate na galing sa clouds bumagsak ulit sa land or sa water, iikot lang ulit sila. And the surface runoff. This is the water runoff over the surface of the earth. So, coming from channels and the rivers and ends up into lakes, seas, or oceans. Ayun ang tinutukoy ko kanina na yung rain na rain na bumagsak sa mountains and different surface of the ground na pabalik ulit sa seas and ocean, yun ulit ang magsa-cycle. So last is the infiltrations. The water travels and seeps down which increase the level of ground table. So ganun lang iikot ang ating water cycle. So ganun lang ang pangyayari sa ecosystem in our environment. Kaya siya tinawag na cycle na napaulit-ulit lang ang kanyang ginagawa. Okay, kaya yung system ay hindi nawawala ng water because the water cycle or the hydrologic cycle. Next, so let us study the water cycle thoroughly. So again, like what I've said a while ago, this is a cycle involves of continuous circulation of water in earth in the atmosphere system. No, it involves yung mga binanggit natin kanina, evaporation, evapotranspiration, condensation, and precipitation. Huwag natin kakalimutan, class, na the water cycle comprises of the multiple steps, no? The 3 states of water. Ito, brief natin na ulitin, no? Yung pagkasunod-sunod ng process, because of the solar energy heats up the bodies of water, such as ocean, lakes, and rivers, and water changes into water vapor, this process is called evaporation. Tapos naman, yung plants lose in form of water vapor ay yung tinatawag nating evapotranspiration. So, the water vapor cools down o pag lumamig na and it rises into the air forming the water droplets that eventually form cloud. Anong tawag natin doon? This is process called condensation. After ng condensation, precipitation naman yung nangyayari. So, naipon na yung mga droplets na possible na maging rain, snow, or hail. So, it falls back, no, into the earth in different forms. Tandaan niyo yung forms na sinabi ko na pwede siyang maging yung mga droplets na yun, rains, snow, or hail. It depends on the temperature on that area. So, tandaan natin that some of the water that falls on earth flow into the ground and is available to us in the form of groundwater. Then, the other remaining water falls back into the bodies of water and then cycle will continue to occur. Yan na, sobrang pinaliwanag na natin kung paano nangyayari yung water cycle. So, ngayon, let us analyze. Nakita nyo na itong picture kanina. What will be the first step? Okay, what are the process involved in the cycling process of water cycle? First is, of course, the evaporation. Dahil nainitan ng dagat or ng sea, nagkakaroon tayo ng water vapor papunta sa taas, no? Para mag-form ng clouds at ayun tinatawag natin. So, water turns into liquid, papunta, condensations are clouds of being formed, no? Water turns into gas. Condense na siya. So, liquid turns into gas vapor naman po. No? So, ito called precipitation. No? So, sa precipitation, it also happens the transpirations na pinag-usapan natin and then condensations again. Since another biogeochemical cycle is the nitrogen cycle. Yung nitrogen is very important in the molecules of the environment. Ano nga ba ito? It is a cycle by which nitrogen is converted into multiple chemical forms. It is a circular among the atmosphere and terrestrial ecosystem and marine ecosystem. And aside from that, aralin natin kung paano ang nitrogen cycle nangyayari, yung process. Okay, ito palang nitrogen ay ginagamit para makabuild ng protein and nucleic acid. Also, this nitrogen makes up the 80% of the atmosphere, animals, and plants. However, cannot use it directly. So, yung proteins make the structure, the chemical building blocks ng lahat ng organisms. Yung nucleic acid naman, yun nasa DNA molecules which carry the instructions of necessary that all life activities. Although yung nitrogen, 80% siya nung hindi natin to directly nagagamit. Instead, itong nitrogen fixing bacteria sa soil, siya nagpe-play ng vital role doon sa nitrogen, no? Pagko-convert ng nitrogen, pwedeng gamitin ng living organisms kasi hindi nga pwede directly magamit yung nitrogen. Did you get that class? So, aralin na natin ngayon kung paano nagsisimula o paano nangyayari yung nitrogen cycle. So, sinabi ko na yan kanina, used for proteins and nucleic acid that is very essential to the ecosystem and also the organisms, no? Yung bacteria nagko-convert in nitrogen to ammonia, and this process is called nitrogen. Nagsisimula ang nitrogen cycle dito sa nitrifying bacteria. So, itong nitrogen fixing bacteria ay nakatira sa fruit ng trees and beans. And pwede silang mag-extract ng nitrate na usable para sa mga plants and animals. Ay, ang tinatawag natin dyan ay nitrogen fixation. Pwede rin silang mag-form through the help of lightning. Kino-combine ng lightning yung oxygen as well as the nitrogen in the atmosphere para maka-form ng nitric acid. Okay, so winawas siya ng rain, tapos mapupunta sa ground, kaya yung soil ay magkakaroon ng nitrogen dun sa soil that will help the plants to grow. Then, ang mangyayari, kino-convert ito into nitrates, tinitake up to ng mga plants into their roots. So, yung ibang nitrogen content naman ay kinakain ng mga herbivores like the rabbit, yung mga plants na ito. Tapos, ipapasa sa carnivores kapag sinain sila ng mga carnivores. Yung nitrogen, ultimately, bumabalik yan sa soil from animal waste. Yung mga dumi ng hayop, o from the remains of plants and animals. Kapag namatay ang plants and animals, yung soil organisms, yung mga decomposers, i-break down yung mga plants and animals nito to form a nitrogen compound. So, dito tayo sa denitrifying bacteria, ibinabaliktad niya yung process. Nagamitan niya ng nitrates to energy, i-release niya yung nitrogen back to the atmosphere. So, ang mga tao ay nadidistract and na-intervene sa nitrogen cycle sa pamamagitan ng pag-add ng large amount of nitrous oxide sa atmosphere kapag nagkakaroon ng burning fuels. And aside from that, nakaka-add ito ng maraming nitrogen sa mundo that can causes sa ating global warming, no? Sa pag-init-init ng pag-apply ng commercialized and yung mga fertilizer, ito rin ay hindi healthy kasi nakakapag-add to ng nakaka-apekto sa ating nitrogen oxide. Hindi maganda pag mataas ang level ng nitrogen sa atmosphere kasi nakaka-apekto ito sa human health and napapababa nito ang biodiversity at yung sinabi ko kanina, napalakas nito ang global warming. So, para mas lalo nyo maintindihan, isa-isahin natin yung mga process na nangyayari. So, first is the ammonification. It is the production of ammonia by bacteria during the decay of nitrogen-containing urea found in the urine. Ito na-contribute ang ammonification ay napoproduce, no, with the bacteria na nabubuo because it has also it is containing nitrogen, no? Makukuha sa urine ng animals, no? Next is nitrification. Sinabi ko kanina, this is the production of nitrate from ammonia. Yung ammonia na na-produce, no, because of the decayed bacteria, nakapuo ng nitrate, which helps that go into the another process. Sa assimilation, this is absorption and incorporation of nitrogen into plants and animals' bodies, no? And yung last po is denitrification. It is the deconversion of nitrate into nitrogen gas. So, kanina from ammonia, naging nitrate siya, tapos naging nitrogen, no? And naging nitrogen gas na may re-release to the last part of denitrification. So, as you can see, ganyan ang nangyayari. Just follow the arrow. So let us answer this based on what you have learned. Number 1, what is the process, no, na nangyayaring converting organic nitrogen into the ammonia? The first process is the ammonification. And the organism that involves is the bacteria and the fungi. And the byproduct na mapoproduce natin ay ammonia. Next, yung nitrification. What is the operational definition of nitrification? From the word itself, process that converts ammonia na itong na-produce natin kanina into nitrate. Of course, the organism involved is the nitrifying bacteria and also the byproduct na na-produce natin is nitrate. Next is the nitrification. Nitrates are converted into atmospheric nitrogen. So, from the nitrifying bacteria, ang mapoproduce natin, nabanggit ko na kanina, it is the atmospheric nitrogen. The nitrogen that can be found in our atmosphere that helps also the organisms, pero pag nasobrahan, it can cause the global warming, no, pagbilis ng init ng ating kapaligiran. So that is the assimilation. This is the process of absorbing nitrates by plants, wherein the plants is the primary involved, and ang mapuproduce natin protein and organic nitrogen that is very essential in the existence of the organisms. Ayan naman ang gustong maproduce nitong nitrogen cycle. Okay, last cycle is the the carbon cycle. So sa carbon cycle, carbon and oxygen ito, na po, sa tingin nyo based on the picture, tungkol saan kaya ito? Yung carbon ay isa foundation of life on earth. Kailangan to para the genes and DNA. This is very important because this is a major component, and carbon dioxide is most available form of carbon or the living organism. Itong element na ito ay may kinalaman sa atmosphere, kinalaman ng carbon dioxide. Yung carbon, para ma-regulate yung earth temperature para yung life maging possible. Kasi this is very important because ito ay ingredient sa food para ma-fuel also ang ating global economy, because carbon is very essential in creating sa food, katulad sinabi ko kanina. Yung carbon sa plants naman, ginagamit ito to build their leaves and stems, na kung saan kinain sila ng animals, nadadigest yan para gagamitin yan ng animals para sa cellular growth, di ba? Sa atmosphere naman, yung carbon, ginagamit siya as carbon dioxide, no? Sa ocean, ini-store yan at kinakapture yan ng maraming marine organisms. Yung process na tinatawag nating carbon dioxide cycle, ay nagsicycle siya around the ecosystem. Yung carbon, pag na-remove siya from carbon dioxide in the air, sa plants and the air, na process of the photosynthesis ay nagiging dahilan, nagiging source ng food ng plants, which is the vital role ng isang halaman, that will help all throughout in this cycle. So, aralin natin ang carbon cycle, no? The oxygen and carbon dioxide cycle. Always remember that this is a flow of gases to the organisms and to their environment in a cyclic process. So, carbon dioxide cycle, oxygen and carbon dioxide cycle. First is carbon is the building block, no, of all living organisms, because this is needed, no, sa ating genes, katulad na sinabi ko kanina, and sa DNA. Organisms are composed of organic carbon compounds. However, one source of carbon in the environment is carbon dioxide. So the atmosphere, no, has a supply of carbon dioxide. It is emitted by the atmosphere to the burning of fossils ulit. Fossil fuels, the composition of dead organisms, and of course, the respiration of animals. Plants consume carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to make their own food, no? To the process of photosynthesis. So the byproduct of this process is oxygen. Oxygen then will be consumed by the animals and also humans and aerobic organisms. Sinabing aerobic organisms, animals that needs to breathe, no, of course, with the oxygens. The process of intake oxygen and release of carbon dioxide is called respiration, paghinga. No? The carbon dioxide that is released in the atmosphere will make the cycle continue dahil paulit-ulit lang itong nag-i-interchange kung ano yung kailangan ng individual. So, this is the oxygen-carbon dioxide cycle goes on. And let us answer the guide question. What gas do plants produce that animals use? Ano ulit ang ginagamit ng plants na pwedeng magamit? I mean, what gas to produce? Plants produce, ang ginaproduce ng plants na ginagamit animals and human. So, that will be, anong binibigay? That will be, what? Carbon dioxide or oxygen? Number 2, what gas do animals produce that plants use? Oh, on the other hand, ayun ang kailangan ng plants. As you can see in the arrow, ang binibigay ng plants sa animals is the oxygen, while the animals give the carbon dioxide that is very essential sa mga plants. Right? So these are the process. Number 1, what will be the answer? Ano ang binibigay ulit ng plants to the animals? That is the oxygen. So what will happen to the animals? After receiving the oxygen, there will be a respiration. So, the way of breathing, inhaling, and exhaling. Both animals and humans do the respirations. And then after that, number 3, it will give what to the plants? Very good, that is carbon dioxide. Kapag na-receive na ni plants ang carbon dioxide, mangyayari na yung photosynthesis, which help the plants to create their own food. And aside from photosynthesis, dito rin nangyayari yung respiration. So, uulit lang ulit, since this is a cycle, it will give oxygen and the plants will give carbon dioxide and so on and so forth. So, let us answer if you really understand our lesson for today. So, process will be yung nilagay natin kanina. So, the process of plants making their own food ay tinatawag nating photosynthesis. Very good. So, byproduct release, anong napoproduce na product to the process of photosynthesis? Of course, oxygen. So, the process is photosynthesis. So, next is respiration. No? The process of intake of oxygen and the release of the carbon dioxide. Of course, the byproduct of this is the carbon dioxide. So, are we clear on that? So, let us answer the concept based on the clue and also the definition of this concept. Number 1, BC is the flow of elements or compounds in between living things and its environment through food chain. So, that is what is the answer? Comment down below. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The correct answer is the biogeochemical cycle. So, the non-living parts na tinatawag natin with the initial of AF. Ito yung mga example niya, wind, water, soil, temperature. Ano yung AF na yon? Comment down below. Yan, yung temperature, yung various natural environment, that is what we call abiotic factors. You are good. Next, so the living components naman, kung ang abiotic ay non-living, ano naman ang living components? This is what we call the BF. Comment your answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. This is what we call biotic factors. Very good. For 4, 5, and 6 yan ha. What is the answer? Blank, blank, and blank are the major biogeochemical cycle. Ano kaya ito? Comment your answer in 3, 2, and 1. WC, comment, that is water cycles. 4, next, OCC. This is the oxygen-carbon cycles. And last is, very good, that is nitrogen cycles. I hope that you really understand and gain some more about what is happening in our environment through these biogeochemical cycles. Thank you and God bless you all.